A good tip for any tomato dishes would be using canned tomato paste as an easy way to gain a rich flavor for your meal. Adding this to any tomato dish will help the flavor intensify.
My name's Sue, and I'm doing some cooking for Matthew House. I'm using foods that you get from the food bank. This recipe is a creamy canned vegetable soup. At the food bank, there'll be times that you see different vegetables in cans, so part of it will depend on what you can get there. Today we have tomato soup, corn, peas, beans. They didn't have cream of potato soup, so I put cream of mushroom, and that's the basis of your soup, along with some broth. Because I believe in adding extra flavor to soup, we're going to start the soup by putting in carrot, onion, and celery, and that will just give some extra flavor to your soup as we cook along. Okay, so now we're over to your stove top, and we're going to start again with just putting a bit of olive oil in your pan. And we're going to soften some onion, celery, and carrot. You'll find that in many cooking of soups or stews, these three ingredients are called I think they call them the Holy Trinity, and it's basically what you'll find in a lot of homemade soups, stews, casseroles, are these three ingredients. Now this recipe doesn't call for them. I put them in myself, so if you don't have them in your house, that's fine, just don't put them in. We're going to let those cook for just a little bit. The nice thing about all three of these ingredients is even if you have to go to the grocery store and buy them, they're relatively inexpensive here in Canada. Or if you have the fortunate situation where you can have a little garden, especially carrots and onions are something that's pretty simple to grow. So into our soup, we're going to just put whatever vegetables you've got cans of. So I have canned corn, in. We have some canned yellow beans. Now all these vegetables that have been in cans, we've drained the liquid and we've given them a rinse. Because you'll find when you get vegetables in a can, because of the liquid that they're packed in, there is a fair amount of salt. Tomato soup. Again, this is from a can. And our creamy soup. Once again, the recipe calls for cream of potato. I find that very hard to find at the food bank and in the grocery store. So this is cream of mushroom. There's other cream of celery, cream of bacon, different cream soups that you could put in instead. The last ingredient to this soup is just soup broth. Once again, if you don't have soup broth and all you have is water, it's perfectly fine. Soup broth is just another way to enhance the flavor of what you're doing. I would say to be careful when you're buying soup broth because some of them are saltier than others. So we're putting in 2 cups. Just going to give that a stir. It's still pretty thick, so I'm going to add a 1/3 cup of broth. Now the recipe calls for salt to be put in. Especially because this is being made with canned vegetables and canned soups, I wouldn't put it in myself. But my suggestion to you, if you're making this recipe, is to take a teaspoon and taste your soup as it's cooking. If you think it needs salt, go ahead and add whatever you feel comfortable with, and same with pepper. The last ingredient that you can add in, if you would like, is about 2 teaspoons of Worcester, and that's totally up to you. Worcester is something you will not find at the food bank, but you will find it in the grocery aisle, in a glass bottle. Okay, so today again we're going to make a vegetarian stuffed pepper. These peppers are peppers that I got from the local food bank, and being in Windsor, because of Leamington being so close, they have plenty of peppers and tomatoes usually that they give out. So for this recipe, we're going to take 2 peppers and just clean out the seeds and the membrane of the pepper. If the food bank doesn't have peppers, every grocery store does, but I would probably suggest going to No Frills or Price Check or something like that to get a better price. So we're just going to use a tin foil pan. At home, if you have ceramic pans, metal pans, anything like that can go in the oven. Obviously, you're not going to put anything that is plastic into the oven, but ceramic, stainless steel, pans like that. You're going to take olive oil, just a small portion, and baste your peppers like that. And put them in the oven at, again, 375 for about 20 minutes. We just want to roast them to make the shells a little bit softer. Okay, so we're going to start to get the inside of the peppers ready. So the peppers are roasting in the oven, and now you're going to make the filling. So we're going to start with a little bit of cut up onion. Turn the burner up a little bit more. There we go. And again, not a lot of garlic. It really is up to you how much you like. I like garlic, so I would tend to put about a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of garlic. Everyone's different how much they like. And we're just going to let that cook for a little bit, just to get it going. Again, this recipe calls for some tomatoes. It actually calls for fresh tomato, which if you don't have a fresh tomato, because you're cooking it, canned tomatoes are just fine. We're going to take the canned tomato and just smush it up a little bit with a fork so that it's a little bit easier to eat when you go to eat it. And I know from the local food bank, canned tomatoes, stewed tomatoes, tomato sauce, all those kind of ingredients are something that anytime you go to the food bank, you're going to find those ingredients there. So we're going to cook that up just a little bit. And then we're going to add about a quarter of a cup of couscous. Couscous is one of those ingredients that cooks really fast with heat and with moisture. And then we're going to add broth. About a quarter of a cup of vegetable broth. And we're just going to let that cook for just a minute or two. Not long. I find at home couscous is one of those go-to ingredients that when you're going to have a meal and you just want something quick, couscous is a wonderful grain to have in your house. You add a little bit of vegetable to it, or put it with one of your favorite proteins, and a bit of vegetable, a bit of flavor, and couscous works perfectly. So as you can see, a lot of the liquid is being evaporated quite quickly by the couscous. And we're going to just finish mixing it up. And that's about it. So that's how quickly that cooks up. So we're going to go and we're going to get our roasted peppers out of the oven. And once they're over here, we're going to fill them with our different toppings. So as you can see, the peppers have just started wilting up a little bit from being roasted in the oven. And they're ready to put the filling in. So I'm just going to put those aside for a second. And we're going to mix up our fillings. So we're going to take our lentils. We have about half a cup of lentil and put it in this bowl. And then we're going to take the couscous, tomato, onion, and mix it in with the lentil. Stir. Put a little bit of lemon in. I would say that's probably about a teaspoon. And then we're going to take our peppers and just fill our peppers with the lentil and couscous filling. Now, for those who have feta cheese in their home, if you'd like to top this up with a bit of feta cheese broken up, it would make a nice topping for these. There are people like my oldest daughter who doesn't like feta cheese, it finds it too salty. So if you're one of those people that find feta cheese too salty, I would just skip it and finish your pepper just like this.